Tony freaking Fonte. How you doing? I show people, I help people create more freedom and reignite more passion in their lives by going with the flow and having more fun and laughing through life. So they can be, do, have more of what they want and get rid of less of what they don't want. That's simple. That's what I do. Today's message, I'm going to talk to you about, actually have the question, is hell a real place that we go to? Or is it really a state of mind? I'm going to share my intuition on that, what I've come to and learned to know versus what I used to know. And I'm also going to share some personal experience that solidified that belief for me as well. So if you're wondering, if you're going through a shift and really feeling like something isn't right on that level, on that question, and you're beginning to question things, stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. Be right back.
I've been waiting for the world to spin my way. I've been waiting for a glance at the sun. And I've been waiting for...
Hey, welcome back. Let's dive right in on whether hell is a real place or is it just a state of mind. I'm going to share with you some experiences, like I said in the intro. I'm going to share some experiences that I personally had with this. I'm going to share a little bit of background of where I was. Not a ton, just to give you an idea of where I was, where I came from, and how I got to where I am right now, and what the answer that I'm going to give on hell. So from 2009 to 2019, I would say, April 2019, that's really when my spiritual awakening began. I believed hell actually existed. I was a Christian. I was labeled myself as a Christian. I believed that the Christian Bible was absolute truth and what was said in there, even though I didn't understand some things and some things didn't quite resonate with me, but I just believed that to be true, believed what was also taught to me to be true. But in about 2015, I started questioning things. I remember sitting in a sermon, and I'm sitting there listening to the sermon, and I had these two questions pop in my mind. And I didn't understand why I was having these questions, why they were popping in my mind, because I was like, where is this coming from? Why am I thinking this? Why am I asking these questions? But here's the two questions that I had. And the first one was, God, who are you really? And the second question was, Jesus, who are you really? Who's Jesus really? And I remember I was sitting right there in the seat, listening to the pastor. Apparently I wasn't listening too much because I had those questions pop in my head, but I had those questions. Well, then they gave me, it allowed me to start really digging deeper into those questions. And I remember I read a book by Deepak Chopra at the time. It was called The Future of God. I remember reading in that book, and it totally messed me up. I was like, nope. I was not ready to hear any of that. Now I believe a lot of what was said in that book, mentioned in that book, is not absolute truth. It is truth. It's truth. I believe that is true. Whereas back then, I didn't. I was not ready to really take it in. I was just beginning the journey of awakening. But what I did do is I left the church I was at. I felt like I needed to go to a more open church, a more expansive church. So I went to a different church, stayed there for a little while, and then just certain things just didn't resonate with me. And then I went into my spiritual awakening at the end of, I started in October of 2018, but it really started unraveling in 2019. All my beliefs about God, about Jesus, Christianity, it all just began to unwind because I started experiencing new things. I started learning and understanding new truths and who we are as that truth. And everything just began to unravel. And it was not an easy an awakening for me. I actually felt like I was dying many times for the longest time. And part of me was dying. You know, it's the death of the old self and then rebirthing and resurrecting is the new self. And we have multiple of those. Each time we expand, each time as we ascend, we go through multiple deaths. And it can be very scary because it's the death of the ego, the death of the character that we're playing. And each role in each expansion, we have a death of a character. each part of the ego. So I can go on and on about that stuff. But as I started realizing is that hell is not a real place. First and foremost, I want to challenge this. First and foremost, if anything that is fear-based, if you're told, if you don't believe this way, if you don't believe this person is Savior, or believe this person is what he says he is and what we tell you he is, you're going to go to this place of hell and torment and fire and using fear to push you into, and in a way manipulate you into a way of belief that, oh, I got to believe this way, because if I don't believe this way, then I'm going to go here. That's fear-based. And I want to tell you this, God is not fear. That is not of God. That is of man trying to manipulate man to do what man wants man to do. I know, man. But that's all it is. So anything that is fear-based, using fear, using guilt, using shame, is not of God. That is of man. Using characteristics and putting man-made characteristics onto God. God is all knowing, God is all loving, God is all encompassing. We have that power within us, so therefore we are the power of God, and we are God because of that power. God, we are a mere manifestation of God, so for God to experience himself. That's it. That's the truth of who we are. Many won't believe that, and that's okay. I'm not attached to it. I'm not attached to how you believe. We all have our own journey. That's it! Grab your torches! Grab your pitchforks! This guy is teaching dark magic and must be stopped! Get him! So I began to believe that hell wasn't a real place because it was fear-based. All right, so I'm going through my awakening. All these beliefs just started unraveling. I began to believe that hell wasn't a real place. I began to understand the truth of who we really are. I began seeing what was going on. How in history it's been passed down and changed and shifted the Bible, as I'm talking about, to express this piece, to get people to conform, to condition them to believe what they want to believe. I've seen it, I've experienced it, felt it, all of that. Well, I want what that guy's having. He's smoking that good shit. What the hell? Makes this look weak. And this is that spiritual tobacco. However, and that was 2019. I mean, it's been a short 2 years that I've gone through a major rapid awakening. But I had this, and I'll be honest with you, still had this little doubt that I was still holding on to. But what if? There is some belief that there is a hell outside of us? Most of me didn't believe it anymore. Just didn't resonate with me. But there was still a part of me holding on to that belief. And it wasn't until there's actually two parts to this story, but it's all part of one story. It was until my dad passed away last year. When I say last year, July of 2020, he passed away. I remember he was sitting in hospice. He's sitting in his room. He's in his bed, I mean. And the first part of the story is that we had the nun come out. Because it's part of what they do for hospice. The nun comes out to have a talk with him to see where he's at. I said, yeah, you can come out, but he doesn't believe. He's not religious in any way. He grew up Catholic, doesn't believe in anything. And he believed that until the day he died. So we're sitting there, and she's having a conversation with me and having a conversation with him. And she was like, well, I don't think that necessarily you're atheist. I think you're more agnostic. And my dad just kind of sits up and looks at her and says, I believe what I believe. And she kind of smiled and laughed, and she says, okay. And she goes, you're rightfully named after the St. Thomas. And St. Thomas meant the doubter. And then she goes, and this is what really intrigued me, because I was already believing this. And here I am talking to a nun who's Catholic that says this statement. And she says, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you get to the other side. And I was like, well, that's interesting. That's coming from her. Meaning that you don't have to believe, but when you get to the other side, it's okay. You're still going. to heaven. Even if you don't believe, you can doubt and not believe at all. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So then I had a conversation with her afterwards. And I said, it's interesting because we were having a conversation of where my beliefs were and where she was at, and she honored that and I honored hers. It was great. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I said, I find it interesting that you said what you said to my dad about when you get to the other side. And she looks at me and she says, I've been doing this far too long and have experienced so many things, too many things, to believe that to not believe that there's not more than one way to get to the other side. And I was like, wow, that was a beautiful perspective, because I was already beginning to believe there's more than one way. There's more than one way. There's no set way of getting to the other side, even though religions or governments or any other entity, people, however you want to speak it, will tell you otherwise. And they'll use facts to back that. And we can find facts to back anything that we desire. However, that's not what I'm here for. So then it was a few days later that my dad actually passed away. And it was that night, it was that evening, or it was the next night actually. My brother was out there who doesn't believe. His wife was out there at my dad's house. My daughter was there, of course. And we're all going through stuff and kind of figuring out what we were going to take, what we were getting ready for, what we were going to take individually, kind of agreeing on things. And then what we're just trying to get everything ready for estate sale, and then obviously get his house ready for sale at the same time. So I'm sitting there, and I still remember this perfectly. So there's this hallway that, there's the kitchen here behind me. I'm using this as like behind me. Then there's a stairwell, and then there's the wall for the stairwell, and there was a couch here, and there's a living room here, and he's got a living room way over here. And then there's the hallway. That's why I was visualizing the hallway. There's a hallway here, so you would walk right behind the couch, between the stairwell, bam, there it is. And so my brother's in this living room area. He's looking at the stereo stuff because that's kind of what he wanted, in the TV and things like that. And I'm standing behind the couch, between the stairwell and the couch. And all of a sudden I felt this chill shoot up my spine. And it was like my head went back, and I was like, ah! Which happens a lot. Like I have some seizure or Tourette's or something like that occasionally, because it happens quite a bit. Yeah, any of my friends that can attest to this and say, yes, he does this a lot. Because I shut up and I go, first I said, something's here. And I go, no, someone's here. But then I went, I don't know who it was. But I had a feeling who it was. And I think I believe it was more of a fear of recognizing the truth of what was really happening. So I do that. I should say I did that a lot, recognizing I'm aware of it. And I'm doing it less and less because I know who it is when they show up. It was all of a sudden, I felt this massive, intense energy start shooting up from my toes all the way up my body, where it was consumed by it. My body was just filled with goosebumps all over, hair standing up as much as it can, right? Hair standing up my arms, and just goosebumps. And I'm trying to breathe through it because it is that intense, and it just totally consumed me. And I went, oh my God, it's Dad. It's Dad. Dad's here. I just knew immediately it was our dad that showed up. And my brother's over here, he's like, you okay? And I'm like, yes, it's really intense. I'm just trying to breathe. And he's just totally just staring at me like, holy shit. What the fuck is going on? I think that's what's actually going through his head too. And he's just staring at me like, what in the world's going on? So then his wife comes around the corner from the garage, because she's moving stuff around, comes around, and I look at her and I said, Dad's here. And she was like, really? And I go, yeah. Well, so she walks up, and she's probably about 15 feet from me, and then walks, and she screams and jumps back. And I'm like, what? And she goes, I felt the energy. It was like I walked into a wall of energy, and she felt the same energy, and the chills shoot up her legs, and just freaked her out, and she jumped back. And I'm like, but I couldn't move away from it because it was consuming me and went out from me. And it was freaking amazing to experience it. They both can attest to it. My daughter was there as well. And then we had another moment 2 nights later, we're downstairs looking at my dad's fishing equipment. My dad had about 10 grand, maybe more, of fishing equipment, and we're trying to figure out what we wanted to take and split it up. And all of a sudden, I remember I felt like I wanted to cry. And I was like, I feel like crying, and I don't know why. And it was a few minutes later, all of a sudden I heard my dad say, "I love you," which was very hard for him to say in the physical world when he was here. So hard for him to do that. And I heard his voice, and he said, "I love you." And I started to cry, and I looked at my brother, and I said, "Dad's here," and he says he loves us. And then my brother, I got all, because we were talking about something else at that point, and all of a sudden he just but he reverted back because it messed him up so much, and we still laugh about this. It messed him up so much that he was like, "So how much do you want for that table?" And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? How much do I want for the table? He went back and reverted back to how he interacted with my dad, and that was a way of showing love, because my dad, when we wanted something, or he wanted something, the way we interacted was like, "Dad, how much do you want from that?" And most times, my dad would just, that's how he showed love too. He would just say, "Just fucking take it. Just fucking take it." But it's occasionally, he's like, "Okay, just give me this much." And it was like next to nothing on certain things. But that's what he reverted back to, and we laughed. I'm like, "Oh, Dad's energy fucked you up." He's like, "Shut up, just shut up." And we laughed our asses off at that one. So those are the 2 points. But it was at those moments that solidified it for me. Because here's a guy who did not believe. He believed growing up, revolted from that, and was like, "Nope, don't believe in anything. Don't believe in anything. Don't believe in anything." And here he is on the other side. I'm experiencing, I feel it, because this is what I do. My brother witnessed it. His wife witnessed it. My daughter witnessed it. I've had friends who have witnessed it when we're on vacation together, when we're together and just hanging out. They've witnessed it. They've seen it. They've experienced it. So what am I saying there? That solidified it for me at that moment. And I'll share a story with my dad too on the suffering piece of this, on the hell, what hell really is that my dad didn't believe, and he still went over because he's visiting. He shows up and hangs out all the time. And I actually had a couple dreams. First, I knew that he was going to pass, and secondly, that he was going to visit shortly after he passed, and he did. And I also had dreams that he was going to be able to help and serve and guide me much more, and our relationship was going to be much stronger with him on the other side, not having this barrier of suffering that was going to hold him back and prevent him from really doing that.
Oh my word! He is just telling lies and lies, and that's just the work of the devil. That's the devil's work. He must be stopped with all those, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I might just pass out from all the lies that he's spreading. Oh.
So the second piece of this is hell is a state of mind. It is not a place you go when you die if you don't believe a certain way. It is a state of mind, because I can tell you this, there are many religious people, there are many Christians who are suffering and are in hell in this moment. There are people who aren't believing who are in hell. There's people who are not religious who are freaking living in the kingdom of heaven, because here's what I'll tell you. The kingdom of heaven was within, but so is the kingdom of hell. And that's what really Jesus was talking about. That hell is a state of mind when we actually forget who we truly are. And when we separate from our highest self, when we separate ourselves from God, because we are separated from our divine self, which God is. And we are riddled by guilt, by shame, by resentment, by bitterness, feeling unworthy, undeserving. That's the torment. That's the torment. That's hell. When you're living with depression, you're living with all these disorders, it's because you put this kink. It's kinked your connection of who you truly are. You can never fully disconnect it. Because you can't disconnect what you are. but you can get close. You can kink off that flow of energy of who you are and be riddled with guilt, be riddled with shame, riddled with regret, bitterness, anger. Like I said, that's hell. And guess what? That was what my dad lived with his whole fucking life, even until the day he died. Because when my mom died, he went downhill. My mom died 2 years after my wife died. When he died, he went downhill. And I remember having a conversation with him one day, for one time he got out of the hospital. He is in so much suffering that he chose. And that's going to be another message too. He chose it. He lived with this anger, this regret, this not feeling love, this shame. But he could never share it because he was taught men don't share. Men don't feel. Anger and happiness. Those are the only two emotions you had. Anything else, you're fucking weak. And he put himself through so much suffering because of how he treated my mom and how he treated my brother and I growing up, and treated my mom when she was sick before she died. And I remember sitting there one day because he had about 5 heart attacks, ended up having triple bypass surgery, and he ended up getting diabetes from well, there's theories because doctors say, diabetes can cause a heart disease, or heart disease can cause the diabetes. It's like which comes first, chicken or the egg, right? And it's the same concept. So we don't know exactly which one came first, but we know that he had the heart attacks, had heart failure, and his diabetes, and he let them go. He would not stay on the medicine. The only time he would get on the medicine when he was in the hospital, they would regulate it. He'd come home, he wouldn't take it. He didn't want to. He wanted to try to do things naturally. However, he couldn't get himself to a place to do that, or even get to a even base place to help bring in supplements to help heal the body, because I believe the body can heal itself. I've seen it, countless stories of people doing it, and I believe that we've always been able to do that. However, I'm digressing again. So I'm sitting there with him one day. He's his body is just high acid from the diabetes, the blood sugar is just flowing through him, the heart disease not pumping right, the oxygen, all of that. He's just in so much pain. I remember him said to me one day, without him actually saying, I'm fucking suffering. And I believe I must suffer. But I could feel it. He says, now I know how your mom felt. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, Dad, but you're choosing this. You don't have to suffer. You can let it all go. Of course, he just went, and left it at that. My dad lived in hell here on earth. He chose to reject the kingdom of heaven within. For many years, I did the same thing. I didn't know no better until I knew better, until I felt and experienced better, experienced more. And this is how I'm able to laugh through life. Most days. Some days I go through awakening and ascension, it doesn't feel so fun. However, getting better with that and learning that piece of it too. Laughing through life, going with the flow, having more fun, doing the shadow work, healing more and more, experiencing, expanding, evolving, growing more and more, becoming more and more conscious, feeling and experiencing kingdom of heaven here on earth, because it is within, because who we are as divine beings. Again, we are God manifested so God can experience himself. This is why we're all one. This is why we're all connected. This is why everyone is connected. Everything is divine.
I am going to pray for you because it is so clear that you have gone and strayed so far away from the Lord. Oh, I'm going to pray that he brings you back and that he gets you away from those motherfucking demons. Oh, I just pray for you. I pray for your soul. Oh, thank you so much for praying for me, Susan. I am so appreciative of that. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I will pray for you as well,
to believe the same way that I believe, because that's what's really going on here. Whether you choose to believe it or not, that is not my journey. That is not my decision. I'm not here to tell you what to believe and what not to believe. It's your journey. But if you're watching this and you're feeling something, then this is for you. Maybe this is the peace that you were listening and desiring and asking for and is now manifested right before you. You do not have to live in hell here on earth. You can experience the kingdom of heaven right here. You don't have to wait to go to another place to experience joy and bliss and freedom. Yes, there are limitations because we are in this physical body. But because we're a manifestation of the universe, we can experience it right now. Breathe that in. Set yourself free. It's time. You're worthy of it, and you deserve it. Talk to y'all soon. All right, thanks for watching. Do me a favor if you haven't already and this message resonated with you, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notificator, ding, to be notified when new messages drop so you can get more awesome messages just like this if it resonated with you. Also, I want to hear from you. I want to know what resonated with you. I want to know what stood out with you. I want to know where your backstory is that led you to this message in the first place, and then how it served you, how it has served you and helped you and guided you in some form or fashion. I want to hear from you, so make sure you're commenting below and share with you what resonated with you and where you're at. Next thing I want to talk about is laughing through life. Laughing through life is not just my business. It's not just a phrase. It's not just something that I just throw out there. To me, it has a ton of meaning. Because I want you to imagine this. Imagine a world in a world. That's what it sounded like in my head as I said that. Imagine a world where people are having more fun. People are doing more of what they love. People are in the relationships that they have always desired and deserve and know that they deserve. And they're having more fun with their partners, their intimate partners. They're having more fun in their business relationships, their personal relationships. They're having more fun with their kids. They're having more fun in business or their career and doing what they love. And they're actually living their life the way that they envision it. And they're laughing through life and they're having more fun and they're going with the flow, no matter what's going on. Doesn't matter if the world is falling apart like we've seen in the last 2 years. You can still have fun, and people are having fun. And there's less chaos. That's what this means. It's not just a saying. It's not just my business. It's a movement. And this is what I want to spread across the world, laughing through life. And I've been experiencing more and more as I'm out and about, and people are just going, I love that shirt. I love what that says. So if this resonates with you and you want to be a part of a movement of spreading the joy, the happiness, the freedom, the passion, the having more fun, going with the flow and laughing more and experiencing more and more, then grab your t-shirt. I have the link below where you can grab your t-shirt and you can show people that you're laughing through life and you're supporting the movement of laughing through life. And on the back of the new shirts, this one doesn't have it because it's not, I just got it done. So it's laughing through life in the front. And on the back, it has, why ain't you laughing? And if you look at the other videos, you see where that inspired. I was actually inspired someone who said something to me about my shirt. And we laughed and it was freaking awesome. And bam, why ain't you laughing was inspired and it's on the back of the shirt. Laughing through life, why ain't you laughing? So I want to ask you that. If you're not laughing and laughing through life, why ain't you laughing? Why ain't you having fun? Why ain't you doing what you love? Because that's what we're here to do and experience. All right, grab your shirt. The link will be below. Last thing is this. Is my MoFlow, MoFun class. It's a intuitive healing class. It's not a class where you come just to learn and you're sitting in the background with the camera off, and you're just learning, no, these are people I'm doing this class are coming in. They are wanting breakthroughs, and they're wanting breakthroughs now. And we are doing live healing. Yes, there's going to be some teaching within this, but it's going to be interactive, intuitive teaching and healing. Mo flow, mo fun. How about how to create more freedom and more passion by going with the flow and having more fun? I teach that. Fun, having fun is my freaking superpower. And I want to teach other people how to do that. So you can experience more of what you want in your life and your relationships. I have a introductory level for that. It's $47 investment for that. You can find more details. I'll have the link below for that as well. If you feel like you want to sign up for that class, spaces are limited on that, but I'll have multiple as I get more and more interest in that. So make sure you sign up, get the details, sign up for it. If that's something you're ready to do. If you want to go deeper, want to go more, let's do it. All right, talk to y'all soon. See y'all later. Bye.